It's no secret that the industry has moved to the cloud, and there's good reason for that. But the blind adoption of the cloud and SaaS software in general doesn't really make sense. There are substantive differences between the cloud and between on-premise software, and I think you need to understand the difference between the two before you choose one path or the other. My name is Marcus Harris. I'm a software and technology attorney. For the last 20 years, I've devoted my practice to drafting and negotiating software-related contracts and litigating software failures in courts across the country. What are the substantive differences between on-premise software and SaaS or cloud software? Well, I think one of the primary differences really is in your ability to customize the software. And certainly, if you're going to go the cloud route, I think the ability to customize and modify that software really is going to be limited. I think it's kind of a one-size-fits-all proposition where the software vendor is pushing the same product out to its customer base, and you're going to have the ability to do minor modifications, integrations, and customizations, certainly. But if you're really looking to customize that software and make it unique to address what you might think are very unique business processes, the cloud is probably not the option for you. One of the other substantive differences between the two is really the price structure. And I think most people are going to assume that cloud software is going to be cheaper. And I think there's some validity to that. I think your upfront costs, really with respect to the implementation and really the grant of access to that cloud platform, are going to be lower than maybe a substantive license fee for an on-premise solution with associated maintenance and support and implementation costs. But I think what you need to realize is that over the life cycle of your use of that product, you're going to be spending more money, and in some cases much more money, on the cloud software. This is a perpetual type of grant of access. You certainly have a limited use right with respect to the scope of use or the term that you're allowed to use it for, but that's generally renewed either on an annual basis or 3 years, 5 years, 7 terms, 7 years, whatever the term is. You're going to get hit with a renewal, and there's going to be some sort of a renewal charge associated with that software. And I think it could be anywhere from 1.5% to 5%, depending on the vendor. And so that's a substantive cost that you're going to outlay on a yearly basis that you would avoid if you're going to be on a traditional on-prem model. And I think that's a substantive thing that you really do need to think about. You've also have to consider whether cloud software is really right for you from a data security perspective. If you are processing or dealing with a variety of personally identifiable information, healthcare information, whatever it is, I think the likelihood that that data could be compromised at some point in the cloud is probably pretty high. And I think it's certainly going to be much higher than it would be if that data was residing on your site on servers that are located within your building. So I think there's an inherent risk in utilizing cloud software that just isn't the same when you're utilizing an on-prem solution. And so I think there's no one right answer, but I think you have to have a fundamental understanding of what you're giving up when you go one way or the other. And I think the reality is there's been a ton of cloud evangelism in the market over the last 10, 15 years. And I think there's good reason for that. I think certainly the cloud can offer opportunity to utilize different types of functionality at a lower cost and with less complexity than maybe an on-prem solution. But certainly there are risks, and it is not a one-size-fits-all proposition. Issues with the cloud as they have arisen with certain data breaches that have made news recently, people having issues with respect to securing their data in the cloud, all of that has come home to roost, and we are seeing to some extent in some situations, certainly not a widespread pullback, but I think some customers and businesses are reevaluating whether the cloud makes sense for them. And I think if you're in that scenario, you really need to know what you're getting yourself into, what the risks are, and how to mitigate those risks. If you have any questions about any of the issues that we've talked about in this video, please feel free to reach out to us at taftlaw.com. We'd love to talk to you and set you in the right direction. But I think okay. What are the substantive, but the widespread and blind let me start over, sorry.
That's right.
I'm trying to say blind.